and welcome to the Word for Kids Season 2. I'm Jamie, and this year I'll be guiding you through the book of Exodus in a series of 20 episodes. Last year we had a great time exploring the book of Genesis, and we're ready to pick up right where we left off. The main character of Exodus is Moses. Throughout the book, we'll follow him throughout his life's journey and find out all about the big job God asked Moses to do for him, to lead the Israelite people out of Egypt. How did they get to Egypt to begin with? Well, remember back in Genesis when we learned about Joseph? His brothers sold him as a slave, and he ended up in Egypt. And as time went on, he became a great leader and helper to the Egyptian Pharaoh, and it was his wisdom that helped the people survive a great famine. During that time, his brothers came to Egypt to buy food and were reunited with Joseph. He forgave his brothers and they moved to Egypt, along with their father and all their families. And that's where the story of Exodus begins. Are you ready for today's adventure? Let's go! Joseph's father Jacob had 12 sons. Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, Zebulun, Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, and of course, Joseph. They all brought their families along when they moved to Egypt, so the total number of Jacob's descendants was 70. Jacob was called Israel, so his descendants are called Israelites. So anytime you hear the word Israelite, remember that just means a person from Jacob's family line. Now, as time passed, Joseph and his brothers and their generation all died. However, their family was exceedingly fruitful, which just means they had a lot of children. Generation after generation multiplied greatly, and soon there were many Israelites. While Joseph was alive, he had a great relationship with the Pharaoh or king of Egypt. However, many years after Joseph and that king had died, a new king came to power. Joseph meant nothing to him, and as he looked at all these Israelites in the land of Egypt, he decided that they had become far too numerous. So he said to his people, "Come, we must deal shrewdly with them, or they will become even more numerous, and if war breaks out, we'll join our enemies, fight against us, and leave our country." Basically, the king was afraid of the Israelites gaining power and becoming a threat to the Egyptians. He assigned slave masters to oppress them with forced labor. They were forced to build the cities of Pithom and Ramses as store cities for Pharaoh. However, the Pharaoh's plan to hold back the Israelites did not work. The more they were oppressed, the more they multiplied and spread. The Egyptians began to dread or hate them and worked them ruthlessly. This means the Egyptians treated them poorly, made them work very hard and with little rest. They made their lives bitter with harsh labor. They had to make bricks, build things with the bricks, and work tirelessly in the fields. Their lives were miserable and exhausting. Because the Israelites had continued to increase in number despite the ruthless slave labor, the Egyptian king decided next to do something even more horrific and sad. Midwives are special people who help a woman who is having a baby. They make sure the mommy and the baby are safe and healthy as the new child comes into the world. Well, the king told two midwives named Shiphrah and Puah that if a Hebrew woman gave birth to a boy, they were to kill him. If it was a girl, they were to let her live. The word Hebrew here is an unkind way to say Israelite. Can you imagine how those midwives must have felt? Could they really take the lives of innocent tiny babies at the king's orders? The answer is no. The midwives feared God and did not do what the king had ordered them. The brave woman let the baby boys live. The king was angry and asked them, "Why have you done this? Why have you let the boys live?" Shiphrah and Puah told the king that Hebrew women gave birth before the midwives could even arrive. Because these midwives did not kill the Israelite babies, God was kind to them and blessed them with families of their own. The Israelite people also continued to multiply. When the harsh labor did not work, and the plan to have the midwives kill the baby boys did not work, Pharaoh said to all his people, "Every Hebrew boy that is born you must throw into the Nile, but let every girl live." And that's where our story ends for this episode. Now it's time for the word of the day!
Today's word of the day is promise. A promise is a statement given by someone that he or she will do what they have said. promise.
This week's verse gives us a sneak peek of God's concern for his people as they were suffering. That's right, it's time for the verse to remember. This week's verse is Exodus 3:7. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. One more time. The Lord said, I have indeed seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard them crying out because of their slave drivers, and I am concerned about their suffering. Exodus 3:7. Okay, that's all the time we have for this first episode of Season 2. I can't wait to see you again next time for another episode of The Word for Kids.